Hello, welcome to SquishiVision. I have the wrong background selected, so just gonna quickly change the background because that's from my Bad Batch stream, not from today's stream. So I need something I forgot to do. Hopefully that should just change over. There we go. Hello, welcome to SquishiVision. Here I'm just gonna give my immediate reactions to what if Captain Carter were the first Avenger. Having this isn't gonna be a detailed analysis. I'm not a chance to script through it. Look at any of the peculiarities. Just my immediate kind of thoughts on what we've just experienced. So I've been excited for this show for a while. I've said before, my experience with comic books has always been via secondary sources because I've never really had the time or money to kind of invest in comics directly. I am not in focus here, which is very annoying. So we'll try and sort that out. It's I have to move forward a wee bit. Problem with the camera. Anyway, so I'm familiar with the What If comics by secondary kind of familiarity. In that it's the exact same premise here. They took famous comic stories, changed an aspect of it, and ran through that. I've not actually read any of the comics, but I'm a big fan of the kind of the whole what pivotal moments, alternate universe, what if scenarios. I like that kind of aspect, um, aspect in fiction. So was looking forward to this. Was happy when it was announced. Even more thrilled to learn that the show was gonna have a majority of the cast from the films voicing the roles, with some curious exceptions, some less so curious exceptions. Um, and then Loki happened, and the final episode of Loki basically, established the multiverse. And so the hype for the show became considerably much more substantial. Before, the assumption was it was gonna be like it was gonna be canon, but it's gonna be very standalone. It wasn't gonna play into like the larger story. But then Loki and various kind of interview sources before and after kind of established actually because of the multiverse, it's now going to actually play a bigger role, or at least it's going to tie in, or at least it's going to be not just as standalone as we thought. So yeah, very kind of excited, and the animation style looks very interesting. So that was my kind of hype up towards it. Where did that then kind of how did that kind of evolve as I watched the episode? Well, okay, so here my kind of okay, I have a series of thoughts, and I'm just going to rattle the thoughts off essentially because that's the best way to go about it. Firstly, not entirely sure um, why Peggy Carter staying in the room changed both the when um, and the where of the bombing that happened, because it changed from, I think, happening in the spectator lounge to next to the machine, and it happened before it happened, after it happened. Don't know why. I don't know. It's not clear why Peggy Carter changing place changed that, but I guess we can just assume the butterfly effect, and that you change one thing and there's ripples out time and loads of scenarios change. We'll just have to assume that. Um, so yeah. Okay. So the good things is obviously there's a lot of very kind of impactful, I guess, iconography in this show. The shot behind me, for example, some other shots were quite, impactful. Um, but I don't know. For the most part, it was very quick. I mean, don't get me wrong. Absolutely stan Peggy Carter brutally crushing and murdering and um, just ripping apart Nazis whilst giggling is what we love to see. It's, I can't complain massively about that. I think the problem is either it was very fast. This episode was very fast pacing wise. Like it basically had to run through most of Captain America: The First Avenger in about 25 minutes. So it was reliant a lot on, I think, our familiarity emotionally. I mean, familiarity with the plot is fine, but familiarity emotionally with the characters to kind of have investment. But the thing is, these aren't the same characters, or at least because they're the they're the multiversal version of the characters. But even then, the characters of what we they are characters of the characters that we know. So there's and that kind of separation that kind of means it's not entirely there in terms of the investment. So it the reason why we were behind Steve Rogers going on that one-man mission to rescue Bucky Barnes is because Steve Rogers had a direct emotional connection with Bucky Barnes, but Captain Carter doesn't. And it kind of addresses this and is like, well, she's going to rescue Bucky Barnes because she's doing it for Steve, because she cares for Steve. And that's fine, but we don't really feel that in this narrative. I mean, yeah, we don't really feel in this narrative. We don't really. It's okay. Here's the thing. It's a lot of. Okay, here's the problem. Emotionally, there's a lot of show and very little tell, and it kind of has to do that because it's rushing through a larger plot. But I can tell that's what's happening. Anyone who's watching can tell that's what's happening, and it's gonna put them off a lot because it's very fast. It throws a lot of kind of familiarity and a lot of references and a lot of kind of. It's indulgent. This episode is very indulgent. It shows us exciting things without having earned it. It shows us Peggy, winning the war without the emotional build-up. Or winning battles without the emotional build-up. It shows the connection between Steve and Peggy without the emotional build-up. It shows Peggy Carter using a sword and a shield to fight a squid monster. By the way, the ending of this episode is very Hellboy, like the 2000 and I want to say 7, or maybe 3. The one with Ron Perlman, the original Hellboy film. This is very Hellboy. The ending, in fact, almost actually entirely the exact same ending. Well, not the exact same ending, but like Nazis using a big portal to summon a giant Livonian Kraken-esque Hydra monster is literally the end set piece of both of these. I'm curious to know if that was a direct inspiration, because if it isn't, it's borderline plagiarism. That's by. It's very indulgent, and I don't know, to a degree, the whole point of a What If series is to be indulgent. The whole point of the comics was indulgent. It was being indulgent. It's basically a bunch of fans being like, okay, but what if this happened instead? Which is that's the whole point of the What If a comic book line. It's self-indulgence. It's basically like, let's take these stories that we know and love and change it in a way which we want to see what would happen, and actually then make it official part of the comic book lore. So I don't know, can I really criticize the show for being any different, for being less indulgent? I don't know, I've not read the comics. I don't know how much breathing room. Maybe there should be more breathing room in this rather than rushing to the point. Because it very much did rush to the point. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I was watching it and I wasn't really. Okay, here's the problem. I was watching it and I wasn't really feeling anything. Like, I was seeing all these exciting images. I was seeing Captain Carter do all this exciting stuff, and I wasn't feeling anything, or very little. Even though I wanted to, because the whole Captain Britain and and Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter is fantastic. But even then, the delivery of the lines felt very expected, and phoned in. And I think it's unfair, because none of these actors don't care about these roles. But it just kind of didn't. I didn't feel any. I'm moving myself here, but that's all I had to go with. It looked great, but it was very fast. Before you really settled into one scene, we were on the next scene. Like maybe if this show focused on actual, maybe if it didn't feel the need to redo a lot of the plot point, the story beats the first Avenger, and picks like 3 story beats and then gave those more breathing room, that might be improvement. But I mean, this is only just the first episode of, I think actually it was revealed today, a 10 episode series. Oh, yesterday, 10 episode series. I think it was meant to be 9, now it's 10. So we'll see how it goes, see how it evolves. The other MCU shows needed a couple of episodes for really to understand what was going on, apart from Loki, which kind of hit the floor running. The other two needed some time. WandaVision especially, but WandaVision was a very high concept. This isn't very high concept. It kind of lays down what it's doing very straight away. So if there's anything else coming, it's not signposting towards that, and there's no reason for anyone to suspect otherwise. So if you're not someone who's watching this because you're a Marvel fan who is a completionist and wants to absorb every single part of the Marvel Studios and MCU canon, I don't know what you stick around for, and that's worrying. But hopefully something else will come along. Those are my thoughts. Rattled off, but probably not rattled off as much as this episode rattled off its plot. Let me know what you think. I think I'll see you next Wednesday. I think that's the next thing, assuming I watch this next Wednesday, but that's the plan. So see you then, and see you then. That's what I should have ended on. And then there's a gap as I move the mouse towards the screen to move to the